this special edition of Honest Media. Today we have with us a very special guest. He's a teacher, mentor, coach and a technopreneur. He is Mr. Dorai Thodla. Hello sir, and we are delighted to have you with us on the show.
Hello, thank you.
Yeah. So to start off with, could you just let our viewers know what exactly is it that you do and what you have also done in the past?
Okay. So let me start with the past. I started my first company in 1980, end of 1980. This was my first startup. It's called Digital Software Systems. Me and three of my colleagues jumped out of a company and started. And all we were thinking about at that point in time is, if you start a company, can I make as much money as I'm doing in my current company? And that was the only thing. Because we didn't know anything about business models. The term entrepreneur was not even there. The term startup was not there. From that point of view, it was a pretty good operation. We worked together for 2 years, and then I started my second company called Information Technology Systems. And the reason for that is the four of us in the previous company were all we had slightly different goals, and which we never talked about before we started the company. And two of them wanted to invest in longer term stuff, and I was more worried about cash flows and stuff like that. So I wanted more tactical stuff. So when I started the second company, my goal was to be cash flow positive within a couple of months, which we could easily achieve. And then I wanted to have enough money for hiring people and pay their salaries for about a year in the bank before I started hiring, which is basically what I did. That company, I was making about 10 times what I was making in getting in salary in the previous companies. So that way it went out well. That merged into a third company called Coromandel, and then we started building software for US. And we built the first database engine out of Bangalore, three of us, and we sold it to a company in US. We got a first check showing a small prototype that hardly worked. Minimal, what we call a minimum viable product today, and got a check for about $150,000 in 3 meetings
for that prototype.
For that prototype, and they were convinced about the architecture and our ability to execute, and we executed a contract and had a license, and we built our first SQL engine. In India, there were 3 SQL engines being built at that time. We built one. CMC Corporation had a product called Simple that was based on Ingress, and then there was another company, ITI Telephones. They had one product, but ours was the only one that ever shipped to a customer in the US.
That was the first one to have hit the market.
Yeah, the first database engine from Bangalore to hit US market. So this company called Santa Cruz Operations sold it for a while as a bundle. They said it's co-office. Database on one portion, they had a spreadsheet, they had a word processor. They made it as a bundle and then sold it for a while. And after that, we just took off. For 5 years, between 85 and 90, I used to shuttle back and forth between US and India. Most of the time in US. Children were growing up here in India, and I felt that I was spending far too much time away from the family. So in 90 we moved there, and in New York. Within 4 or 5 years, we built the company up and sold it, and then I moved to the Silicon Valley. And I had to work for the company that acquired us for a couple of years. So in 98 I left. For 1 year I just chilled. Roamed around Silicon Valley, met some really cool people. I'll tell you a little bit about them, and then started my next company. This time the goal was very, very different. In Coromandel at its peak, we had about 170 or 180 people, and then I found that I was doing a lot less technical work and a lot more managerial work, and I just wanted to be with technology. So with iMark, my goal was just be as small as possible, just a couple of us. And then one was in Bangalore, I was in the US, and then a couple of people, subcontractors, and we worked together to build some products.
That's great.
And that still continues. It's more like a lifestyle company in some sense.
Alright. So, like you said, you started off with three other friends, right? So, what was exactly your starting point? Like, was there like a day that you realized, okay, I can do stuff on my own, I can make money on my own? Like, could you take us back to that particular time? Like,
yeah, that happened even before it was met. It's a very funny situation. So, I used to work for a company called Hinditron that was essentially an agent for Digital Equipment Corporation to sell computers.
Okay.
And my job was a software support, pre-sale support, as well as after we installed the computers, I had to go and teach operating systems and all that. I went and got trained in digital for about 4 months in US. That was 1977, October to 1978 Jan. I was there. And then what really happened was I used to get all these little articles and magazines from digital and very interesting articles, and I was reading one of them, and suddenly I got this idea to fix one of the biggest problems PDP-11 computer COBOL compilers had. PDP-11 had a limitation of 64 kilobytes, maximum size of a program. So many of our commercial customers could not really write large programs, and I got this idea how to really expand that size. So I ran a lot of excitement to my boss and said, "Boss, I have this solution." He looked at me and said, "Dorai, that's great, but we don't build software in this company, we sell computers." Then I said, "Oh damn, I have to leave this company." That was one moment. The second moment was, I was staying in Ghatkopar in Bombay, and then suddenly this landlord comes to me and said, "I want you to vacate. I'll take as much time as you want, but just move out, because I can get 10 times more money by giving it to a bunch of bachelors than one family." And so I had to move to some remote location called Abhiroop, and I said, "Damn, I want to leave Mumbai." Then suddenly one day a couple of my friends came to me and said, "Hey, how about starting a company?" Until then I never really thought about it. So these three things come and I said, "It's time to move." I said, even if I make the same amount of money that I make in the company, but move to Chennai, where the cost is like maybe half of what it is in Mumbai, I'll still be off much better. And then I just get to do whatever I want to do. So it took some time for us to brew on that idea, and then we discussed a whole bunch of interesting things, and then finally decided to jump out and start.
Okay. So as you told us, this has been a really long journey of your career. Did you have any setbacks, like low points, where you really wanted to quit, and how did you manage to overcome such a moment and keep going on?
Yeah, I don't know whether I want to call them low points or not, because low points are there even in jobs, right? When I failed in my first presentation, I felt like jumping out of a building. Right? So there are several things that happen. But what happened is, in DSS, they're really bright people. I probably was the dumbest of the four, because the other people are the ace programmers. But they were all so focused on building tools, and I was the external interface to the company. So I found it a big struggle to kind of, agree on things to do. And also that one of the guys had much more, he spent a lot of time in US, and he had this idea of bringing in money into the company through loans. And I come from this conservative family where loan is just no. So I think it was a bootstrapping mentality. So our clash of interest was mostly this. So I agonized a lot before leaving that company. But fortunately, what happened is I was working on a project to get a Pascal compiler from Wipro.
Okay.
And we got that project, and I gave it to this previous company and said, "At least I've done something, so now let me go." And we parted as friends.
Okay.
And we continued to work together later too. There are low points in the sense there are many low points. One of the lowest point in my life was we signed this contract with this company, the sequel, and we had a penalty clause that if you delay the delivery, our royalties we receive will go down by a significant percentage. License model. The royalty that we receive goes down by a significant percentage. And then we used to work days and nights in that. We moved to Santa Cruz and we were working days and nights, and the vice president would walk in and he'll have discussions and suggest new features, and we kept implementing all those features. It never struck me at that point in time that when you keep implementing new features, that you should also push out the deadline, and we never formally wrote that up. So when the contract, when the due date was there, we did not deliver the product, and then they were hit us with this penalty. And that time I really felt bad because it was a big mistake that we made in not managing expectations properly. I didn't know that in the US culture you can simply say no for everything and ask them to write everything down and say each one of these features will take 3 more months and we would have gotten 1 more year, for example. So things like that. But every time a product fails, like there is a version we built, in the last minute a bug was introduced, we sent out 100 copies of the product and 99 came back. The other one didn't come back because the guy paid us, I don't think. The other guy was too lazy to send us back. So it was like 100% failure for the product. But I think there are more failures than successes throughout. But a few successes completely, demolish these failures, and so you don't even think about them very much. It's a part of the process anyway of being a startup.
It's really good to hear.
Yeah.
So how different do you think it is today compared to the days when you started off? Like, what do you think is that one major difference that an advantage or a disadvantage that the young entrepreneurs have coming up in this stage?
Oh, I think there is no comparison. When I started my first company, the term startup was not known, entrepreneur was not known. I never heard of a VC for several years in my life until I went to US. And I was dealing with a VC, I didn't even know I was dealing with a VC. Today the knowledge, because of the eCell, the NEN, NASCOM Startup Center, all the incubators and accelerators, the awareness about entrepreneurship is orders of magnitude higher. Also great books from Eric Ries on Lean Startup and Steve Blank, all these whole bunch of things are there. So I think you are starting out with an advantage, understanding what a startup means. You also understand the risks, which is very important. My biggest sale was to my wife to convince her that I have to leave a regular paying job and go into something where I can't guarantee income every month. Fortunately, my brother-in-law was kind enough to rent us a space very, very cheap, like 450 rupees a month or something like that. So he was kind of a VC. Unknown VC in some sense. The terminology there was you're an employed engineer or an unemployed engineer. If people are really nice to you, they'll say self-employed engineer, and that's about it, right? So unless you came from a business family, this one is not. It was not very conducive, right? People thought we were crazy. And nobody understood exactly what we were doing. They said, you mean you go around talking to people, then you come and type something on a computer and people pay money for that? And that is a big surprise. So it took a while. But once we started getting a lot of money, that's when everybody was convinced. So that is, but things are also different. There is an ecosystem in play right now. You can go to 10 people, there are mentors available. We had no mentors, and mentors are really crucial for the success of software, and books and experience of other people. So I think today you are orders of magnitude better than what we were doing at the time we started. I had a tough time, and once Y2K came, we started blooming, right? All of a sudden everybody required programmers and all that sort of stuff. Then the services model changed, kind of thing. We had a tougher job. We wanted to go to a products model right from the beginning. My first company was semi-services and products, but second company onwards I focused only on products. And that's even more difficult because I had products that I could actually, this product that we built for speeding up a COBOL compilation, we could have sold to US and we didn't even know that we could monetize it. Because there is nobody to tell us, hey, why don't you take it and give it digital and make money out of it. So I think there's a lot of fuzziness or ignorance around lots of areas. So today is much, much better. Orders of magnitude.
Okay. So coming to that point, basically you missed out on that opportunity because you couldn't market your product to that company over there. So right now the world is really connected. Like we have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everyone is connected. Do you think traditional way of marketing is dying now, and that the new form of social media has taken away, and traditional marketing is just dying? Like we can just directly put out the product and people can just go into it?
I'm not going to say yes to that or no to that, because I don't think it's true. Like, marketing has always been multiple channels, and social media is just one channel. So I'll tell you this. One of our most successful products, when we created the product, it went from $0 to $3 million in 1 year's time. That was the most successful product we did. I mean, that is nothing today, but I'm talking about 1993, 94. And then we grew it to a bigger company, and then we sold the company. And the way we got that product was, we built a prototype that barely worked. We went to a conference, and because we had a unique product, this was a product that worked on Visual Basic, Microsoft gave us a slot for presenting it, and gave us 2 slots, one in the morning, one in the evening. So I was on a panel with 3 others, and then I presented it, and it actually crashed during my presentation. And then I came back to the booth really depressed, and I saw a crowd in front of the booth, and they said, "We want this product." I said, "Guys, it's not ready. Did you see that it's like crash?" They said, "Yeah, every product crashes. Even Microsoft products crash." They said, "That doesn't really matter. This will save us a lot of time." And so they signed up for beta. So we had the incentive to make it solid, give it to them for beta. They found a lot of bugs for us. But what really happened is, they saw us. Physically, they saw a demo. They could come and interact, ask us tons of questions. I think that element of marketing will never go away. Okay. The initial exposure, instead of going to a show, you may be able to put it in Product Hunt. That may be one way to do it. So fast forward a few years, I built this product called InfoMinder, which is built in again in Bangalore. That product I built it for my use. Then I thought, oh, this is really cool. I should give it away to people. So we gave it away for about a year. And how did I get users? I just gave it away, but nobody knew that we had this product. So I went to some Mozilla forum and posted there something. There is a product forum called Beta News where we posted somewhere. We got first 3,000 users, and suddenly we noticed there's a whole bunch of users with tracking thousands of pages. And this is basically a page tracker. We tracks a page and tells you what has changed. And then we said, okay, now we can charge them. 1 year later, we said $15 per year. 30% of the people converted. So, and zero money spent on marketing or sales kind of stuff.
Because of that forum.
It's just word of mouth. So there is this book called Traction. They identify 19 channels of marketing, from direct mail to cold calling to mining LinkedIn contacts and then calling them, or going to conferences, running events, writing blogs, content marketing, inbound. Several techniques. No one technique is sufficient. I think you need to try a mix and see which ones works.
Okay. So, and you said that one of your biggest sales was to actually convince your wife to actually leave your job and become an entrepreneur. So, what do you think, or what would your advice be to a young person coming up in the Indian society, as in most parts of the Indian society considers that if you're either not an engineer or a doctor, you don't have a good profession. So what would your advice to that person be who's trying to do something on his own, but the society is just pulling him down and giving him the tags as unemployed or things like that?
Yeah, I'm going to use some bad word right now. Screw the society. I tell you, I don't think you can ever become successful if you just listen to what other people tell you and just follow, right? There are a couple of things. First thing is, it's parents spend a lot of money educating children. So they're very concerned if you, at the end of the education, you just jump off and start doing something, whether it's a photography or videography, writing blog posts, doing whatever. They are concerned. So you listen to parents. But there is a way of convincing them. When you get into the college, start your startup in the second year or third year. By the end of your college life, if you are making as much money as Infosys or some other company would offer you, nobody is going to come and say no. And they know that it's been doubling every year, for example. So that is one thing. I think everything is a sales job. Even to your parents, I would not worry about society because it's a nameless mass that anyway is easy to comment and very difficult to praise. So I won't worry about people that are close inner circle to you, your friends, your parents, your siblings, and you have to take each one of these objections as a challenge and talk to them and tell them why you are doing this. And always do this time boxing thing, right? You take certain amount of time, say I'm going to try it for 6 months or 8 months or 1 year and see how it goes. At the end of it, you guys still think that I should go back to job? Go back to job. And the skills you build during that 1 year will be orders of magnitude more valuable than the skills that you just go and work. You get in a job where you go and work. Because as an entrepreneur, everything you learn everything in an accelerated mode. You learn how to sell, you learn how to market, you learn how to build, you know how to support, you know how to manage relationships, you know how to convince people to form a team and come and work with you. Each one of these skills is what you are going to need when you are successful even in a job after 3-4 years. You are going to become a team lead, so you need to manage people. You may want to sell your ideas to your organization so that they will fund it. So you are building those skills as an entrepreneur. So it's possible to convince.
So we know you personally that you like mentoring students and young entrepreneurs. You like to coach them into what they have to do and what they should do, everything. So what makes you do this? What is that passion that you have for young students that makes you do this kind of build to learn kind of meetups that you organize and all these events? So what is that makes you do this?
I think it's just pure joy of it. I would put some altruistic kind of thing, like I want to help the society and all. It's just all incidental. So I make enough money from my product business and consulting business that I don't have to work full time. So what do I do with the rest of the time? Okay, I can do what I really like doing, which is like reading lots of books. Beyond a certain level, what do I do? So KCG was a turning point in my life in various ways. I walked into this organization, gave a talk, in fact in a room that is very close to this, next room I think. Gave a talk. At the end of it I met the director and she said, what can we do for our students? And I said, how about starting an innovation center? And she said, what is that? And I said, even I don't know what it is. But let's take one room and call it innovation cell and sit there and let students come up with ideas and then we'll help them build something. And we got the first taste of it. And she said, when can we do it? And I was leaving for US on May 9th. She said, okay, we'll do it on May 6th or something like that. We had an inauguration, I went to US, came back in September. We started in November. This is 2009. 1 year we ran it. And I saw the tremendous response we had from students. Great ideas. Not many of them were very practical, but there was this bubbling enthusiasm in them. And everybody came and said, I want to do this, I want to do this. And that enthusiasm was so good, and they were all waiting for some, outlet, right? Because they're bored out of their mind sitting in classes, just listening to lectures and just mugging up. There's a class of them that do not care about any of these things at all.
So this new initiative that you have started, the Build to Learn community. So what is the purpose behind that one, sir?
So it's pretty simple. We found out that people learn a lot by doing. Even if you don't know how to do it, it doesn't really matter. Once you start, you'll suddenly, I should do this, and then suddenly say, but how do I do this? And they'll go learn how to do it, and they'll come back and then do something, and then suddenly they'll hit another roadblock, and then they'll find out. So everybody does this. Even software companies that build products do this. So why not introduce it to students? And so that was the idea, saying, hey, let's build something so that you can learn by building things. And because you're learning things, you can build other things. And so it's kind of like a recursive method of what is called synergistic method, right? You learn, you build, and then because you build, you learn more, and then you pump it back into your learning, and then there's a purpose, more directed learning kind of stuff. We started as a Slack channel almost a year ago.
Okay.
So I'm this big believer in scaling things and all that sort of stuff, and also in remote work. So I said, okay, let us set up a Slack channel. I put like 10-15 projects there, and I said I'll even pay for some of these projects. So there is a paid projects channel, there is a learning projects channel. Anybody can come, and all they had to do is pick a problem and ask me questions. I would give them answers. But I didn't write the spec there. I said, you pick a problem, then I'll give you what to do, and then I'll dole out a little bit by bit spec. Because if I give a long spec, people will say, Bapre, I can't do this. So that was a bust. There was a lot of enthusiasm in the first day, and after that everybody vanished except for a couple of people. So then we said, okay, now we have to do this face-to-face thing. And face-to-face thing is a little bit of a problem. We need a place with some Wi-Fi. We need people to gather. Normally 30 people promise and 3 people turn up. But we said, screw it, all those things are good. Let's just go do it. And while I was mulling about this for a couple of years, I found this thing, 2 interesting things in San Francisco. One is called Civic Hacks. Every Saturday, unconditionally, for 4 hours, guys meet, will hack something. And it is for social good. The second thing I found was I was sitting and having coffee with a friend in a restaurant, and I saw a bunch of guys sitting there with like a small, notice saying that, hey, Science Fiction Writers Club. And the bunch of guys are furiously typing on that. I walked up to them and said, can I disturb you for a minute? And they said, yeah. What are you guys doing? And they said, oh, bunch of us will want to be science fiction writers. So we meet here in the coffee shop and we write every week, one day. And I said, but you guys are not even talking to each other. He said, no, we'll talk to each other. But the idea is to write a chapter and get it reviewed by everybody.
Okay.
So there is some effect in group thing, right? The same thing happens in a hackathon. You see everybody working non-stop for 24 hours. Whether you want to work or not, you'll sit there and you'll just follow along, right? Yeah. So the groups force certain habits. So we thought build to learn, our goal was build to learn to build, and just come in. If you have an idea, great. If you don't have an idea, don't worry. Somebody will have an idea. We ask people to tell them what they want to build and why they want to build it. And ideally it should be a social cause, but it can be a commercial thing also. But we want you to put everything in GitHub so that others can take it and extend it. We've done like 3 sessions so far. Okay. And we're doing a special version this weekend. Bhavani is taken over. She's my colleague. She's like amazing. She's starting one for women and women's club, and said, you may ask why women's club? They have to anyway go work with men. But one thing I notice is put a bunch of women together, less constrained and less worried about what the boys think. They will, unleash their creativity in very, very different ways, and we want to try it as an experiment anyway. Ultimately, we all have to work together. But for initial few stages, because boys are easy to criticize, they'll simply say, that won't work, and that they'll get very discouraged. And whereas they are not like that, right? So they're normally very supportive, very different kind of mentality. So Bhavani is doing it this weekend. Last weekend I was not here. Ashish and Bhavani managed it themselves, and we are really happy with the way it is going. It's about 8 to 10 people, so I don't want to magnify what happens there. But people come, spend 3-4 hours, build something, learn something, and walk away. And sometimes people just come and learn. They may not even build anything. Right. Like we had a bunch of people who knew nothing. We asked them to start to learn Python programming. Okay. And that's what they did. So it doesn't really matter. We don't expect any outcomes. If you can build one little feature in one little product, or at least understand how it works, we consider it successful.
So is there a link for it?
Yeah, we have a website, we have a Facebook group where we publish the events.
Okay, so we'll definitely share the links to the Build to Learn so that you guys can check it out. So finally, after all these years of success in your life, do you think that you have reached the saturation point, or do you think that you still have that stuff in you? Do you want to do more of the in the field of entrepreneurship?
See, success is a very loose term, right? It's like, what is success? Einstein invented came up with, look at the imagination and inventions of the biggest guys, right? Einstein came up with this theory of relativity. That's a pinnacle of success, right? So when we talk about success, whatever we do is like small little things here and there. As far as I'm concerned, what do I do with my life? So initially you want to earn money to live comfortably. And comfortable living is more as mindset than actual physical thing, right? So you come to some point. I never wanted to travel abroad, but it turned out that I spent like 20 plus years in US. Now I shuttle back and forth. Well, kids are there, grandkids are there, so we spend some time. Travel a little bit around the world. I'm not a big travel buff, but you read lots of books, you spend time, you teach people, and when there is aha moments in them, there is a lot of joy in there. So you do things that you are reasonably good at and you want to be good at, and you spend time with people, and you at least have a sense of at least contributing something to the society or to make somebody happy, even if you can help one person. That I think has no end. As long as the brain works and the legs can make you walk around to wherever you want to go to, and your body is cooperating, you keep going. Nobody really retires. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Fine, sir. So thank you for coming to our show, and we are totally delighted that you were able to come to our show.